Almeida and UAE Team Emirates launch a long-range team attack. This was the 18th stage of the Vuelta, finishing on Alto di Piornal. They do that climb twice, in fact, 13k is 5%. I thought this would be a big breakaway stage because 5% steady, there's no steep sections. It's really fast. That climb draft is so important. It's nothing to keep the GC contenders up at night. But unfortunately, before live coverage started, there was a huge crash which involved the KOM wearer Jay Vine, who's won 2 stages at this World. So he's unfortunately out of the race. And so the KOM jersey goes to Richard Carapaz, who was in this breakaway with Gegenhardt, Hugh Carthy, Hersink, Padun, Thibaut Pinot. Pretty strong, very strong breakaway. In fact, Verona, Oliveira, 32 riders or something again. Marc Soler was in the break again for UAE Team Emirates. UAE had options up the road, and here we see Almeida on the 1K sort of 11% section, the only steep part of the day. He'd been launched by McNulty and had a 1 minute gap on the peloton. Now, Almeida started, and this guy was telling him 5 minutes. I think he was telling him he had 5 minutes, and that was the exact gap. He'd hand timed it maybe to the breakaway ahead of him. So Almeida was solo, and Quickstep didn't really care because he's on like 7 minutes on GC, 6:51. It's up to Movistar and Astana to pace to protect second and fifth for Miguel Angel Lopez. He eventually catches up with Oliveira in the breakaway and he paced him, but they're now still just hovering a minute in front of the peloton, and it'll take a long time for Almeida to reach the break. Ayuso gets to sit in, so not too bad for him, and it was tough to know where everybody was. Almost not enough camera bikes on the road for once. Like, this isn't the head of the race. This is Oliveira pacing Almeida about 4 minutes or 3.5 minutes behind the breakaway proper, whilst Astana did a really good job today pacing. Rodriguez had been caught up in that crash as well. He'd lose a minute plus today, whilst Hessink was extremely strong in that breakaway. How was Evenepoel going to do? Would it be a stage for him? Carthy went clear and created a select group on the first ascent of Pional, whilst Almeida was chasing a group with Higuita, Carapaz, Pino, Carthy eventually, while Soler, with Almeida on his own, as you saw on this climb, Soler's still in the break, hadn't dropped back yet, whilst Lopez is able to sit in the draft and all the other GC contenders are able to sit in the draft. It's a 5% climb, like they're going 30 kilometers an hour. Eventually, took a while. Eventually, Soler, I think he dropped back out of the break quickly, but he must have kept pedaling at a decent pace because Almeida gets across him. He does do a really good job for Almeida. He brings him back to the breakaway. Not this break, though, of the best climbers in that break. Carapaz extending his lead in the points competition. Here you see it was a satellite rider day because that break was so big. Nibali dropping back out of the breakaway, and he's going to ride for Miguel Angel Lopez, who had attacked on the penultimate ascent of Piornal, but he bridges across to a Movistar rider, Oliveira. So he was a satellite rider. And then Ben Turner at 1,000,000 miles an hour brings Carlos Rodriguez back, but that didn't bode well for the last ascent. Soler gets back to the break, starts pacing. Now there's still 40 seconds, 30 seconds between Astana pacing with Nibali and Almeida, who's back in the break, and then the actual stage win contenders, Pino, Carapaz, Higuita, Gisbert, Carthy, and Robert Hessink. And Gisbert goes clear. They let him go whilst Almeida's just trying to gain time on GC. But again, repeat again, draft is so important. Look how fast they're going on this climb. So Almeida's at a huge disadvantage to the other GC contenders. But Mars attacks, tries Remco early, deftly takes a bottle on the run. And I think he had Evenepoel under a little bit of pressure today because here's some more satellite riders. Fausto Masnada's in the break. Evenepoel's got across to him. Mars eased up. And it's a perfect time to slot onto Masnada's wheel and get a slingshot across. And Evenepoel just eases up. And Masnada thinks that is his job, and he keeps going, and O'Connor's fine. He counterattacks, and then to his satellite rider who's dropped back, but it's too late for that guy because Lopez is attacked, and so they just fly past the edge to our satellite rider, and then they go across to Carlos Verona, the next satellite rider, who's waiting up for Enric Mas, but it's too late for him, or Mas doesn't want to attack across to him. So something really weird happens. Verona thinks he's about to start pacing, but he just starts pacing O'Connor, Aronsman, and the AG2R rider, and Masters let the wheel go, and Evenepoel uses them as a slingshot, so then Verona has to wait again for Mas and paces Mas back to Evenepoel. So satellites galore today. Uran's still in really good shape. In fact, very good. He was finishing with the top sort of 5 guys on this climb, and Verona's pacing. Robert Hessink, the strongest out of the break, or maybe the smartest, with Carapaz Pinot marking each other and Carapaz on team duties. He attacks Gisbert, gets rid of him, and he holds this gap from 6Ks to 5Ks at about 30. In fact, he extends it apparently to 50 seconds, whilst positions 3, 4, 5 on GC, Ayuso, Lopez, and Rodriguez were dropped and were being brought back by Gegenhardt, I think, at this point. And Almeida's in this group after they've attacked across him, but then they get back, Ayuso and Lopez, and attack, and then Verona launches Mas again. So Hessink's gap was going 50 to 30, but then back to 32, then to 20, then to 25, depending on these attacks, because it was also stop-start, as you can see. And Enric Mas, I think he must have attacked 4 or 5, at least 4 times on this climb. And I do wonder, Evenepoel's body position changed, but 2.9 Ks to go. It's 32 seconds to Hessink. Evenepoel starts pacing, but he's got no teammates to bring it back. He'd like a road stage win. Almeida bringing Ayuso and Lopez back, and the 8th to 10th battle, those guys are stronger, and they're all attacking. Uran, Aronsman, and O'Connor, and 1K to go. 3 abreast, no one attacking. Hessink's got 20 seconds, but unfortunately for him, Mas had diamonds in the legs today. I'm guessing, if this was 7 8%, he would have had Evenepoel in a bit of trouble, but that gradient of 5% made it difficult for him to get Evenepoel off the wheel, and he brought Evenepoel across to Hessink, sat in the draft for just a little bit, and that was enough, with Evenepoel getting in the drops and dusting Enric Mas in the sprint to win his first Grand Tour road stage and getting 1 stage closer to Madrid in that red jersey, winning the stage 2 seconds ahead of Enric Mas and Robert Hessink. Very unfortunate for Hessink after being the strongest in the break. Then Hindley, Aronson, Pinot, O'Connor, Ayuso, Lopez, Almeida, all on 13 seconds. Here's what Evenepoel had to say after the stage.
The goal is always to try and let the breakaway go, because then the bonifications are gone. And in the end, Klaas said that I was gone with Enric. So that's the moment that I made a click and told to myself, now you go for the stage as well. Because winning a mountaintop in a red jersey is amazing. And Enric is a really fair play guy. In the end, we worked together to go for the stage win, because he also wanted to try and go, but in the end it's a sprint. And I think it was a big race from the team. Perfect day. I think this was the most perfect day ever.
But no changes to the top 3 on GC, except Mas extending his lead on Ayuso a little bit more. Big gap from 2nd to 3rd, but it's tight. From 3rd to 4th, will Lopez try to unseat Ayuso? That'll be the big question in the next couple of stages. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you with a recap of stage 19 tomorrow. Ciao.